Gems.
Hey, Jim. So, welcome back for another week. I am so excited about today's show. One, because this is my first time having on an artist, a hip hop artist, being featured on the show today. So, as you can see, the music that started off the show, he is the artist that is going to be I'm going to be interviewing today. So he's none other than Kingg Nell. He's based out of the DMV area, local up and coming artist. And so I'm just super excited because one, I've known Nell for like forever. That's my bro. And so I'm just grateful for him being able to just come on the show today, allowing me and you guys to get to know a little bit more about his music career. And so we're going to be hearing about, what he has coming up because on Sunday, March 20, well, is airing today, Monday. So yesterday he released and dropped his latest project, which is the I'm a Young Black Man song. So basically, I'm going to go ahead and let Nell just go ahead and introduce himself and just kind of tell us a little bit about him and the song. So what's up, Nell?
Hey, what's up, y'all? Man, I'm Kingg Nell, man. I just started doing this music stuff. Well, I've really been recording for a while, but this is my first single that's gonna be coming out. And yeah, I'm just happy to be on the show to share with y'all. Like she said, I'm from the DMV area, and and really I'm just trying to shine a whole different light on the music industry when it comes to the DMV.
That's what's up. That's what's up. So first of all, I had to bring you on because like when you sent me the song, I absolutely was one, I already was seeing you promoted on Instagram and everything. So I'm like, I gotta bring bro on because I can already see
Right.
like this is hot and I gotta let the streets hear. But when I got the song and I listened to it, I'm like, this is awesome. I'm really proud of you. I absolutely love it. As y'all can see,
Appreciate
you
that.
know, I gave y'all a little bit of a snippet in the beginning, but towards the end of the song, towards the end of the show, I am going to have the rest of the song play out so you guys can hear the rest of it. But I wanted to ask you now, like, who produced the song? Like, what was the inspo behind this song?
So the person that produced it is this guy named his group name or whatever is called Major League Beats. He actually is a well-known producer. He done work with Keisha Cole, Miguel. I think I want to say Jeremiah. I'm not sure about the Jeremiah part, but Breezy from off Empire and off All American. Couple people. He worked with a lot of people. I didn't even know when I got the beat though. I found the beat on YouTube, and when I found the beat, I'm listening. I'm like, yo, this joint is crazy. Like this song is completely different than any other song I got. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
when I wrote the joint, so I heard this beat probably like I want to say maybe 6 months ago, right?
Okay.
Maybe 6 months ago, or possibly longer, but I want to say like 6 months ago. And so when I heard the song, when I heard the beat, I already knew it had to be something serious, but at the
Mm-hmm.
time, I don't think I was necessarily ready for it at that moment. So I'm like, I'm gonna go back to it, but I'm gonna chill right now. And then I think recently when stuff started happening like around the world with all the with different black men and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what happened, but somehow this a song popped up when I was just looking for beats and stuff, and I just
Mm.
felt like it was time. And I don't know, man. It came, and when I say I'm super satisfied with this song, like I absolutely love this song, and I feel like the message was relayed well. I'm getting a lot of good feedback, so yeah.
The timing was definitely perfect. It's definitely a perfect song. Even when I was listening to it, I'm like, I really do feel like just I can envision, what it is like to be a young black man. Of course, I'm a young black woman, but I
Right.
do have a younger brother and I can see the struggles of what it is like. He's in his 20s, you're in your 20s. And so being able to see the struggles and just the changes of what's going on in the climate today versus when our
Right.
parents came up, of course they had their
Right.
struggles, but
Right.
now we're in a new struggle today. We're still having to, as black people, continually fight.
Right.
Like you said, 2020 we saw a lot of racial and social injustices in this world, and so I do feel like we're kind of still recovering from it a little bit, if not fully, we're not fully recovered, because there are still some wounds, with, of course,
right.
Breonna Taylor still not receiving justice that she deserves. And so I think that just being Black in America, period, is hard. But I love that you related it back to being a Black man, because I do think that being a Black man, that's a different struggle that as a Black woman, I can't fully, I can't fully grasp, because I don't know what that's like. And so when listening to the song, you have definitely a lot of depth in the lyrics. And so again, what inspired your lyrics outside of, what's going on in the world? Did you pull from some things within your personal life or your
Oh
personal
yeah.
upbringing that kind of inspired those things?
Yeah, for sure. See, so what I did, it was like I wanted to make sure that I touched on things that I went through, but also I wanted to make sure that it was relatable to people that I know that they don't went through, and then just people all around the world and stuff like. And to be honest, what you just said was actually important. How you just said, as you as a Black woman, of course, you don't like necessarily know exactly how it is to be a young Black man. The truth is, what I realized is like a lot of us don't speak up about it. Because and it's like I said in the song in the second verse, is like we're taught to hide our feelings and not, be vulnerable and put certain stuff out there. So for real, when I made the song, it was just I felt like it was really needed, not just for myself, but for men to just be heard, because just like in the song, like the stuff that I was saying is like real stuff. Like I remember I went to school in Southeast in Washington, D.C. So I remember the time when I'm going to school and I'm walking past like 50 dudes, you know what I'm saying? They all got guns on them and all this stuff. And I'm like, I gotta watch myself, and the truth is, I feel like we're looked at a certain way before people recognize the backstory of what, like why we are the way we are. And, when you see that aggressiveness, or when you see that when we walk around, we have a certain type of tough exterior, like it's not just because it ain't just because, we want to be mean or we want to be arrogant, it ain't like that. But a lot of us don't went through these things, and like I said, it's just not talked about. But now with this song, I was able to do that and just explain like, nah, man, I done I done seen some things, I done experienced some things, and of course it's gonna shape the way I think, shape the way I live my life, And I just know it's not just about me personally,
I think that's real, because like you said, I think Black men are misunderstood, based off, we have already societal, things that causes Black men to be misunderstood based off like stereotypes. You even kind of talked about some of those stereotypes in the song in regards to like having dreads and people seeing you, with tattoos and things like that, or even like body language, because like you said, growing up, we see in the Black community at times or in our families that vulnerability or emotion necessarily wasn't, it's not necessarily praised, like especially being a Black man, y'all are kind of, I guess, being taught to not show emotion as much or not cry, or whatever. And
you seem soft if you do those things, and that's the thing, that's what they don't get though. That's what they don't get. And I feel like that's the biggest reason why I love this song so much, just because it's like I really feel like I put, and honestly, it's way more. It's way more to the point where I thought about doing like a series of a song like this on the same beat, but different, different things. So I really, it's like, yeah, I touched on some stuff, but there's even more to it. But yeah, it's like, it's crazy. People don't see this stuff, like unless we talk about it. And I don't know why we don't talk about it. I guess because like we said, it just seemed like, you consider it soft if you start talking about those weak moments you had, or, it's like I said, we grew up being taught to hide our feelings, and that's facts, whether it's with females, whether it's with, your parents. Like I remember, let me see, just something small, but I remember playing basketball, right? Where if I like get injured or something in the game, or like, I don't know, say it's like, I know, no, let me just be real specific. I was playing ball one time, it was at basketball practice, and I went up for a layup. And I remember I got like hit in the tooth for somebody's elbow, right? When I looked at my coach wasn't on those sympathetic stuff. He like, well, what you gonna cry? You know what I'm saying? So it's like automatically we gotta have this tough exterior. It's like you can't even speak about the stuff you go through. It's like, yeah, I went through this, but it is what it is. You gotta get over it.
So. It's crazy because I remember in high school, like I I would kind of stay after school sometimes. And so when I wasn't playing those sports. I was staying after school, just hanging out. Right. And so I remember when I would walk past the football field or where the football players were, practicing that, I would always hear like the coaches cussing them out. Like it just
exactly.
not even really cussing them
But
out,
you
but
gotta
just
think that.
talking to them as if they like their peer. And I'm like, but and the boys, they was used to it. And I'm like, okay, it's crazy how like this is the way that we communicate even to young boys. It's already, y'all are already taught to kind of have like that tough exterior even at a young age. And I guess like my question is like, what is that about? Like, why? I mean, I can see, of course, like in society or whatever, but why do you feel like that's a thing as a Black man? Like why is that taught, like continually taught?
The truth is, if you break it down, right? You break it down, it's necessary. It's necessary because at the moment you're looking at it like, all right, this is sports and they talking like this, but for real, you can really relate it to real life. Like in real life, it's not easy out here. When you grow up, especially like as myself, when you got a family and everything like that, you got to take care of. You got decisions to make and all that stuff. It's not easy. It's not like, all right, in other words, right? In your place, right, wherever you staying at, if you got to pay rent, mortgage, whatever, they don't want to hear that you ain't got the money. You know what I'm saying? So you got to be able to be tough enough to handle that situation the proper way. So even with them yelling and cursing and all that stuff, in a way, it really teaches us to start growing as a man. Not necessarily like all of the curse words and stuff that they may say, but most of that aggression, it just helps us to be strong. It builds up a certain type of exterior. And then just like, in the song, like we're already looked at a certain type of way anyway. So when our coaches and stuff is talking to us like this, in a way, it's preparation. It's preparation because there's somebody else doing it behind your back that might not have the same skin color or, whatever the case may be.
So, okay, so as a man now, you're a father, you're a husband, you can conceptualize that type of communication style towards you as necessary because it prepared you. But how was that for you as a young boy, as a teenager? Like, what did that do in your psyche, I guess? Like, were you able to understand during that time, or?
I think at the time you don't. At the time, like, you get that you got to be tough, especially when you're talking about sports. You get that you got to be tough, but you don't actually know why your coach is being this way. Like I remember when I was in middle school, man, my coach, man, oh my goodness. When I say my coach was terrible, I'm talking about he yelled at everybody so bad. We all thought about quitting. You see what I'm saying? We all did. And at the time, we complained about it, but as time went on to where I started playing basketball in high school and stuff, I started realizing like, this actually do something for me. This actually, in a way, it's like I get mad, but it motivates me. It make me want to, do this better, do that better. So it's like, like I said, as a young boy, you don't know why it's happening. But as you get older, you start realizing like, dang, that's something that I needed, because the last thing you want, or at least based on what we taught, last thing you don't want to be soft, you don't want that for sure.
So as I'm listening to you talk, I feel like, a lot of in the Black community, a lot of boys do play sports, right? And so any kind of sport, not stereotypical basketball, just football, any kind of sport. I know most boys grow up like that, or some sort of extracurricular, whatever. And I think maybe, like you saying, like those coaches or those kind of like mentors or whatever the case may be, I guess maybe that has to come off. They have to kind of like train you in that way, because in a lot of Black communities, the father isn't present. And so they're kind of coming in like that substitute, even though your father may not necessarily like, have that same way towards you. I guess it's a way of kind of like discipline, or, that's the first glance. I know, you didn't grow up with your biological father, correct? Right. So those coaches or whatever may have kind of, maybe they had like some sort of like, I guess you could say they played a part in your upbringing, in a sense, in your mind, as far as preparation for life. And so, when we speak on like stereotypes in the world, right? I like we talked about earlier in your song, you talked about the dreads and things like that. I think it's funny how like society, I think as Black people, sometimes we kind of have to be our own advocate and bust out outside of those norms for people to kind of now see that we deserve to be in the room. And so
Right.
the perfect person that I think of that is like somebody like Jay-Z. You know,
Right.
how he wears his hair now with his locks
Yeah.
is it's not the
Yeah. I love it.
typical, it's not the
Right.
typical, way, but I
Yeah.
know that it was inspired by, that, his art, it was inspired by an artist. And
Yeah.
so for him, it has some sort of meaning to him as to why he is doing what he's doing.
Yeah.
But the thing
Yeah.
is, we see him, he's been consistent in that for the past couple of years. So as a man seeing that, because you do have dreads, for the listeners that are listening to the podcast and you're not able to see it visually,
Right.
you do wear your hair in dreadlocks. And you didn't always have that. So you eventually grew that out. And so
Right.
how does that, I guess, inspire you when, it's now time for you to kind of like, because you are also one who also has a full-time job as well. And I know you are in management in your job. So how do you go in those kind of positions or go in type of, or making deals or whatever with people and still earn respect based on outside of just your exterior,
Right.
but
Right.
being able to show people like, I deserve to be here?
You know what? So I want to touch back on what you said about Jay-Z, right? When I saw that Jay-Z started growing his dreads, when I say I was so happy to see that, because so this is the story behind my dreads, right? At one point I was kind of on I want like a pretty boy phase type thing, so my thing was, I remember saying specifically, like, I'm never going to get dreads. You get what I'm saying? I always
Guys,
said
he
I
looks
wasn't
like
gonna get
Kobe
dreads.
Bryant. He's like
Right,
the young version of Kobe.
exactly. So I used to even say like I was gonna get like a 2-strand twist or something, like anything but dreads. I didn't want dreads, right? And one of the main reasons because I realized the stereotype of people with dreads, like the way that we looked at, like the way that we looked at, I feel as though now it is changing now. You know what I'm saying? Because now, so I started growing my dreads, maybe 3-4 years ago, maybe like 4 or 5 years ago. I can't really remember, but yeah, before Jay-Z, let's say that I did it before Jay-Z. But when I started growing my dreads, I remember having a conversation with myself, going back and forth, like, do I want to get this, right? Like, and at the time, I wasn't in my management position that I'm in now. You see what I'm saying? So I specifically remember even thinking like, well, am I going to be able to go to this next step up if I was to do this, because it's like, they look at it and they have their own opinions about it. So I'm like, is it going to be able to be looked at as professional? So to the point where I even started looking up pictures to see like different ways I could wear my dreads. Like a lot of people don't know, but in the beginning when I had my dreads, I always had them back. Always. I never had them hanging down, but that was the reason why, because I knew that like when it comes to work, I'm like, man, if I go in here and when I go talk to my project manager or whoever I'm talking to, like that's higher than me, when I go talk to them, if I go in there like this with my dreads down, I feel like I'm gonna be saying a certain way. You see what I'm saying? I won't be able to be taken serious, right? But if I go in there and my head back, I got to shape up and stuff. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's a totally different thing. And so it's like, I remember having that conversation with myself and saying, you know what? I understand that we looked at a certain type of way, but I'm not about to let that stop me from being myself. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then also about to let that stop me from showing that just because I got this don't mean like, just because I got this don't mean that I'm going to be a certain way. Like it don't mean that I can't be organized or I can't handle responsibility. I can't dress a certain way. You see what I'm saying? So it's like for me, and I'm sure this is the same way for Jay-Z, it's like, it really do make a statement when I could walk up somewhere and I'm the supervisor. I got these dreads and then I got color at that. So that's when I really started embracing it. but shit, so it's like when I walk up to work and everything and I got this, and now they see that the position that I'm in now, other people that come after me know that, hey, you ain't got to think about that. You're going to be all right. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think it took some time for me to realize that like it's deeper than just this. It's deeper than just the exterior. You got to show them that it's not about the way I look, but it's about, the way I think and how I can operate, and I'm telling you that when Jay-Z did it, I knew exactly what he was doing. I'm like, yo, that's my dude, because I'm telling you, that's exactly the same. and of course, I ain't talked to Jay-Z and them, but
Mm-hmm.
if I could talk to him, I'm sure that he would say the same thing. Like that was his purpose of running it the way he do, to show like, no, we can still get here, even if we look like this,
Yeah, I think I've heard him say that before. That was his exact motive, was to being able to show, I guess, help other Black young boys or young men be able to see, like, even with,
it's like embracing the stereotype,
embracing your pushing past, breaking through the mold of how white men in America view us. Like, you are still capable. Jay-Z is in the rooms signing on the deals, booking contracts or whatever, doing things so that he can be able to push him and his family forward, and then create other opportunities for other people as well as them. And so I, like you said, with you, showing up the way that you show up even in work, that can inspire other young boys, to be able to say, like, okay, I don't have to now. However, though, like you said, you knew that, okay, I can't just look like this and don't also add value to my job. Like you said, you was like, for you to even be able to create, to be able to receive management position, you had to show that you were, qualified, and so you had to, you had to work hard. And so, I think that that's still important, that can't be lost, that even though, because I know I used to work at Six Flags, and that was something that was like a huge thing on our grooming policy. Like, Six Flags is not played with the grooming policy. And one of those things was dreads. Like, they're now a little bit more lenient with dreadlocks now. But it definitely, your face had to be clean shaven and all of those certain things. Your hair had to be pulled back. And of course that makes sense. Like, whatever industry, if you are in like a food industry kind of place, your hair should be pulled back, right? Or you should have like some sort of covering. But I just love the fact that you was even able to say, like, this is a thing. This is still a thing in America. And as a Black woman, I can relate to that. In corporate, I love now being able to see us as Black women wear our natural hair. Like, and it's crazy because we could go, and it's 2021, but even still in the office workplace, we still getting asked, is this your real hair? Did you grow this yourself? Or and it's like, especially if we come in as Black women, we like to change our hairstyles a lot. So I have been asked that before, like, oh my God, is that your hair? Or, when they see us wear braids and stuff like that, it's like a whole thing. And it's like, why is it still like, are we serious here? Like, that's still a thing. But I think, it's important for us as Black people to, be that representation, because if we don't represent ourselves in the facets of what our ancestors and what's in our lineage, how we were raised, these things are a part of our culture, and so if we don't represent ourselves in this way, how will we be able to break against the mold of what those stereotypes are, right? And so transition real quick, I just want to ask you, because you are, now you are a jack of all trades, and Nell can do a lot of different things, graphic design, all kind of different things. And so you are great with your hands, right? And so, and that's a gift. That's a gift that you have been gifted with, an ability. So, but now, that you are venturing out into now doing, your music career more. And so I want to ask you, like, when did you first start rapping, and when did you know you could rap? Like, what was that revelation for you like?
So, okay. So I started rapping, as I actually started off, rapping inside the church, and so I started off that, let me see, what year was that? Probably like 2012 or something like that, right?
You were a teenager.
2012, I was writing strictly, gospel music and stuff like that, right? And just as a kid, and it was just a hobby, at the time when I was doing it. It was lit. We was dope. We was doing our thing. But
what was your name again? Me and Nell used to go to we went to the same church, y'all. So we grew up together. What was the name again?
The Renaissance. Yeah, it was the Renaissance. Yeah, okay. Like I still got them songs to this day. I be listening to it. But yeah, so I started then, and I was actually encouraged to start doing that by Kenneth. He the one that actually encouraged me, like, yo, you should try rapping this and that. So at first I'm like, what you tripping, right? But I tried it and it was cool, but back then I still don't think that I was like good for real. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like at that time it was like, yeah, it's a hobby, it's cool. I can make some music, but I didn't take it serious, So I think maybe 2014, I randomly wrote this nice, like nobody ever heard this yet either, but it's it's this verse. It's a gospel jump that I wrote. It's a verse, but it was completely different from anything I've ever did. It was like a spoken word, but on the beat. It was a lot like I'm a Young Black, except it was more, God based, and
Okay.
And I'm telling you, like when people hear it, people ain't heard it yet. So I don't know when I'm gonna put this out, but it's really good though. Like it's really good in a way of, you could tell it was strategic the way words got put together. So long story short, back when I wrote that, like I said, like 2014, maybe 2015, when I wrote that, I was like, yo, like I kind of can do this. Like that's when I started having confidence. I'm like, I think I could probably do this, but still I wasn't taking it serious, because at this time I'm still more focused on, like, I'm trying to be in management at my job. I'm trying to, I'm still trying to get to a certain level financially and everything. So I'm not really thinking about music and stuff like that. And then I don't know, I think sometime last year, I started having people like give me words out of nowhere, right? They give me a different word, and I'll like I can make like a rap scheme out of it. And I realized how easy it started becoming. I'm like, yo, maybe I can actually rap. Like, again, I still wasn't taking it serious, but when people give a word, I'm like, then I say my little thing, and I'm like, dang, that joint was that was good. And then one day I just said, hold up. No, I didn't say it. I was listening to I think I was actually listening to like a sermon or something. And it was talking about using all the gifts that God downloaded into you, right? And I had been told that, it was a gift, the music thing, but I didn't, like I said, I kind of ignored it. But after I heard that, that's when I was like, that makes complete sense. Like, why am I wasting time? Like if I feel like I'm talented, why not operate in all these aspects? That's why I do graphic design. I do the music. Like anything that I feel like I can do, I'm gonna do. Even like motivational speeches and stuff like that. I feel like I can do all of these things, so I'm gonna do it. Like until I go away from it, I'm doing all of it because, like I said, if God downloaded in me, why I'm just gonna waste it,
Right.
And so after that, I just started taking the music thing more serious. I got a lot of music recorded, but this gonna be my first song that I'm putting out. And I felt like this was a perfect representation of me, and and just a nice way to embrace all of me, embrace whether it's my skin color, whether it's just me, mentally, just everything, just embrace myself and who I am.
I love that. And I think that that's true, in the sense of you do have, these are your gifts, and it's necessary to, go out here and just, it's okay to even test out our gifts, play with them. You may realize that, like you say, you tried it back when you was younger and you realized, okay, let me maybe put this down. Like, I'm not ready yet to really dabble into that a little bit more. But then it came back up again and somebody reminded you of that gift. And now you are able to kind of like have some time to cultivate it more. And so I think that that's what's up, because I think even, just period. I think as people in life, sometimes we try to figure out what our purpose is. And I think we do things that that comes natural to us. Those things can be your gift, but then also, it's just easy to kind of like, we just do stuff because we know that this is what we got to do to get by, but it's not necessarily bringing us fulfillment, and I think when I see you do this, when I see you do music and you now, launching out and promoting your music, I can actually see your heart towards it, that you are now passionate about it, and I think that that's important, because it's necessary for us to also we can do those things that can kind of still sustain us in life, but it is good for us to be able to figure out what our passions are and the things that God has called us to do, because those are the things that when we die, we go to heaven, God is going to say, did you do what I wanted you to do? Not what you wanted to do, but did you do my perfect work? And so I do think that this is, like you said, a great representation of, this song is a great representation of who you are. It's also a great representation of other Black men. I think other people can see themselves in your lyrics. And so I think that that's, that's awesome. And so,
for sure. And then I feel like it's really important that we start, just as people, this is bigger than just, black men. This is just all around the board. I think it's important that we just start operating out of happiness, And I feel like for me, that's what music is. Like, I genuinely love making music, it brings a certain type of feeling to me every time I record and all that stuff. So where it's like, not only am I doing this because I feel like, you know, I can do it or I feel like it's a gift, I'm doing it because it genuinely make me happy, you know, and I really wish that us just as a unit just start grabbing a hold of all the things that make us happy. And I feel like, man, the world would be a better place for
I was
sure.
also going to ask you too, with you saying that, when you wrote this song and you do music, you know, was this also like a form of therapy for you? You know, like you said, it was a lot
Oh
going
yeah,
on last year. So
yeah,
was this a place where you could like kind of just go and just allow your mind to just, you know, get out
yeah, oh
your
yeah.
expressions, your feelings?
Yeah, for sure. It definitely was therapeutic. You know, I felt like at the moment when I was writing the song, I didn't even realize certain things affected me a long time, you know? So like as I'm writing and I start saying certain things, I'm like, dang, that just reminded me of this, or that reminded me of
Mm-hmm.
that. And then I start realizing like, dang, those things shape me to be who I am, you know? And and like I said, you know, it was necessary. Like for real, I feel like the song is so necessary. I literally got maybe 15 songs, almost 20 recorded.
Mm.
I've been recording for a year, and this is my first song that I'm about to put out. You
That's
see what
what's
I'm
up
saying?
though. Mm-hmm.
So that's what I mean by like it's necessary. It was therapeutic. Like it definitely did something for me, for sure. And hopefully, you know, it do something for other people too.
Like Nipsey said, a marathon continues. So we know it's not a sprint,
Right,
it's a marathon. You know,
right,
it's okay. It's
right.
okay to kind of space things out and you kind of
Mhm.
get to play on some things a little bit, see what works, see what don't work, put stuff out in the
Yeah,
atmosphere, see if it hits, see if it don't, you know, it's
right,
okay. And
right.
so I'm proud of you. Like I said, I'm happy that this is the first one because I do think that this is one that is needed even right now.
Yeah,
Because I think black men need to have more black voices. I don't think there's
yeah.
enough
We
black
do, we
voices
do.
for you guys, you know. And I think even, you know, me and you had these conversations about how just being able to understand what the misunderstanding sometimes between black women and black men in communication. Like we can
Right,
misunderstand each other a lot, you know,
right.
and I think it's necessary because I think even as black women, you know, if we can find black men being able to have a space where they can be expressive, now we can kind of get a little bit more understanding of what their pain is,
Yeah,
because y'all don't
yeah,
always
for sure.
verbalize what y'all don't verbalize it all the time, especially to us, like to your women.
Yeah,
Like I guess because it's
right.
that provider protector in you guys, and so y'all will go out and kind
No, that's
of
true.
have barbershop talk. You know, y'all will do that with your boys on the basketball court or whatever, but don't always kind of verbalize that to women. And so I think, I
Yeah.
don't know, can you help me
No, that's
to
very true.
understand that? Like why I guess
Yeah,
why is that I guess that not wall, but that hesitation at times to kind of be expressive with your woman, you know, because you are married. And so I know like it can be, and me being a single woman also dating and things like that, I'm seeing that kind of sometimes kind of
yeah,
like come up where it's kind of like, okay, got to be like tough guy all the time, but I kind of need you to be a little soft with me
right.
too sometimes.
Yeah, I think one of the problems is I feel like we always think that we have to have it all together. You know, like so if something did affect us from our past or anything like that, like even in our relationships, we don't talk about it because it's like, nah, you the man, you gotta hold everything together. You gotta make sure that you're leading a certain way. You gotta make sure that, you know, in other words, um you're not seen being weak, you know, at all. So it's like, and honestly, I feel like we do it subconsciously. Like we don't actually say in our head, like, oh, I'm not going to tell her this or that. I'm not, you know, I'm not going to express myself. It's not like that. It's more so just this is how we was raised, you know. It's just like, all right, just like I heard somebody say, I forgot what artist said it, but I heard somebody say how when you born as a little kid, you taught fight before you learn how to read. You see what I'm saying? Like you
Mm,
automatically taught, you know, to have a certain type of tough exterior. You're taught to be ready for war, not to necessarily be ready to give in, if that makes sense,
mm,
you know? So it's
mm-hmm,
like it's and it's like you said, you know, we don't express it. And I realize now that it is important to start putting these things out there as a black man, because like you say, we don't have no voice. But like I said, it's so subconscious. Like we're really not trying to withhold anything, you know, like Chastity be asking me all the time, like, hey, like, you know, what's wrong or what you think about? And I'm like, no, I'm good. But really in my head, I got to put things together. I got to make this happen. I got to make, you know, so we're automatically, it's like we're on go mode all the time, you know? So
one of the things that you said
it's
was,
crazy.
I know. And I'm like, when is this going to stop? Like, we need a breakthrough in here somewhere because I think that, like, kind of what you said, like, you don't want to kind of come off as weak. But my question
Right.
is, do we as women make you feel like that when you guys are vulnerable? Like, why? Because we don't, for us,
I don't even,
we want you to be vulnerable. So I don't think that we
right.
see it as weakness, but in your minds
Yeah,
that
I don't think y'all cause it. I think it's us.
okay.
It's really us, like automatically. I think it's just something that we can't really control to an extent. Like, I feel like we are getting better with it, you know,
Mm-hmm.
especially with people speaking about real things in music nowadays,
Mm-hmm.
you know, with certain artists. But yeah, like it ain't y'all. Like y'all don't make, you know, y'all don't make us feel weak. Well, hold on. Now I ain't gonna speak for everybody. You know, some
Yeah, there
people
are
got their
some women
situation.
that
Yeah,
there are some women
yeah, for
that could
sure.
definitely, yeah,
Right, right.
degrade
But
men.
overall, yeah, overall, I don't think y'all are the issue. Like y'all don't make us feel like we're weak, anything like that. It's just that we want y'all to know that we strong. We want y'all to know that we strong before y'all can have a thought of us being weak. You see what I'm saying? It's
Mm-hmm.
like when y'all go out with y'all girls, we want the good stuff being talked about how, oh, he taking care of business, he working hard. You know, we want those conversations to be had. We don't want you going to talk to your friends and you like, yeah, you know, Cornell going through something. And like we don't necessarily want that. So automatically we have to, I ain't even gonna say paint this picture because it is our true self, but it comes off as if we just putting up a facade when really
Yeah.
it's not. This the way we've been conditioned, you know.
By nature, I guess that's like a natural thing. So speaking of,
Yeah, but overall,
no, go ahead. Overall, what? Because I need to understand y'all. So give me
uh,
all
I
the
was about to say,
while you here.
overall, I would say that like after time in your relationship, no matter who you are, that vulnerability, it'll come out. You know, as a man, like over time, you'll start expressing yourself a whole lot more. Chaz, you probably learned more things about me last year than she did. We've been messing with each other for like 11 years. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So it always end up coming out. It's just that it takes time, you know, and depending on the relationship, y'all type of connection, y'all, you know, the way that y'all talk to each other and everything. But
Your
over
safe
time, it'll
space.
come out. It'll come
Yeah.
out. It just,
Once you feel,
but that
I
first
guess once you
year,
feel safe.
yeah, right. But
Mm-hmm.
that first year too, probably it probably gonna start the first year. So I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And I think the sad thing about that is in the first year or two, like in the dating place, we hear about people like giving their representative. So it's kind of
Right,
like, I'm not
right,
even gonna go down that road, but it's like, dang, I
right.
feel like it's a imagery or like this impression of what
Yeah,
you kind of want to give off, but then when
yeah,
it's now time for the woman to kind of, because after like a while we begin to have interest in y'all, so we kind of want
yeah.
more, and then
Right,
it's kind of like, well, no, she liking me too much, let me kind of, she
right,
kind of in my space. But I
right.
mean, like you said, I think the thing, even on both sides, men and women, it's necessary to be vulnerable with people that you can see as your safe space, because some people do
Yeah,
play on your weaknesses. Like some people are
yeah,
not always your safe space, and so it's like having that wisdom on, okay, can I tell her, my pain? Can I give that to her, and can she like really be able
right.
to, honor what I'm saying? Versus when we in an argument, now she want to bring these things back up to me and make me feel less
Exactly,
than a man, right?
exactly. Just like you ever heard of that? I forgot what song it was, but J. Cole said on one of his songs, he said, if they don't know your dreams, they can't shoot them down.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? In a way, that's how it is with relationships. If you don't know my weakness, you can't use it against me. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, if you don't know what I'm struggling with, you can't say nothing about it. So
Yeah.
at that point, we're still feeling like, we're stronger because nobody's pointing out our weaknesses or pointing out the things that really bother us, you know? So
Mm-hmm.
it's one of the things I think eventually, we'll start breaking out of it, you know, because now you got social media where people really are expressing how they feel and stuff like that. And you know, it'll get there, but that's something for men, man. It's gonna take time. I'm trying to tell you, that's gonna take
Yeah.
time. When I say I feel like very few people know me because of that. Like, I mean, very few. Like, just like even in the song, a lot of the stuff I say, my mother has no clue. Like, like my mother has
Yeah.
no clue the things that I've, you know, probably seen when I was in high school, or, you know, like she has no clue, not at all.
So
She don't know
did
that.
so did those conversations have to come up afterwards? Like, was there now new? And you don't have to tell me what the conversations were, but
Right.
where after people started listening to your music, was that a thing where people kind of like, oh, now I'm kind of getting to know you a little better and understand you a little
Well,
better.
I can't say that yet because I haven't let a whole lot of people listen. I only let,
Okay.
yeah, just a very few people. I
So I guess
think
your
that's
mom.
exactly what's going to happen. You know,
Okay.
now that is exactly what's going. I tell people all this. I said the truth is people ain't really going to understand me and really know what I'm about or understand why I make certain decisions I make until they start listening to my music. Like even my music, like don't get it twisted. This song, like I love this song so much, but my other music too, it's messages in every. It's just you got to really listen. But in every
Yeah.
song that I have, there's something in there to where you'll be able to learn something about. You know,
Okay.
every song, even the party stuff,
Mm-hmm.
it all get personal. You know.
That's what's up. And I
Yeah.
mean, that's cool because I think that, fans like to kind of feel like they
Yeah.
know their favorite artists,
Right.
like when we
Right.
hear J.
Exactly.
Cole and he gives us, what is it, Forest Hills Drive? I think that was like that was one of my
Yeah.
favorite albums by him. And so when we
Yeah.
hear him, go into that depth in his music, it's kind of
Yeah.
like now,
Yeah.
because in the
It
beginning when
get deep.
Cole came out, Cole was giving more of like commercial kind of songs. Then he
Uh-huh.
realized like, I don't, that's not me. I'm not being authentic. I
Yeah.
don't even care about none of that stuff. I want to give my listeners, my
Right.
fans, more of who I am. And so it did. Now we were able to see, okay, now I feel like I know J. Cole. Even
Exactly.
I even talked about this in Drake's on my last episode. We talked about
Yeah.
Drake's latest EP that just came out. And I
Yeah.
was talking about in that song, What's Next? It's a hype kind of like, it's a catchy beat, it's a good fun song, but at the end of the day,
Yeah.
Drake is dropping bars. And I think what Drake is saying in that song is, now you about to kind of see like what's next with me, because I think for him it was kind of like, y'all was assuming what was going on in my life, but now I'm kind of telling y'all what's going on. And I'm also
Exactly.
telling y'all that I'm kind of making some different changes. I'm making some different moves. So you're
Yeah.
going to be able to see what's next. And so I do think that for artists, that's your way of like communicating,
Yeah.
like that's your
It
way of just
definitely
getting it out.
is.
Yeah.
Definitely. Honestly, I feel like I'm gonna get to a point where my music is so transparent to where I'm not gonna have to do interviews. People gonna know,
Mm-hmm.
you know, what's going on, you know, because I'm trying to tell you, like, and honestly, I feel like it's one of them things. It's so therapeutic. Like that's why I love music. You know, that's why I love it so
Yeah.
much because I'm telling you, I plan to talk about everything in my music eventually. You know,
Mm-hmm.
eventually I plan to talk about everything. You know, it really is. It's like you said, it's deeper than just creating that. It's hold on, let me say this again. You should create that connection with your fans, you know, for sure.
Right.
But what it does for the artist himself when he making, you know, certain type of music, I'm telling you, it really can, it really help you out a lot. I got this one song that I wrote. I ain't gonna say the title, but I got this one
Mm-hmm.
song that I wrote, and it was hard writing that song. It was hard, but after I finished it, like I realized, like, yo, I feel so much better, you know, because I got this thing out.
Yeah. That's what's up.
Mhm. Yeah,
So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up right here, but I want you to kind of go ahead and just kind of let people know about this latest song again. Kind of let them know the date that it's coming out, where they can
yeah,
stream it at, and then
right,
also just kind of give them some things that they can look forward to in the future from you now.
right. So the song coming out, I'm a Young Black, coming out on March 21st. This came out yesterday, so y'all go ahead, go listen to it. It's gonna be streaming on all major platforms, Apple Music, YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud, everything. It's gonna be everywhere, you know. So make sure y'all listen. Let me know y'all feedback. You can follow me on IG at Kingg Nell with 2 G's with an underscore at the end of it. And yeah, just let me know what y'all think, and hopefully, a lot of y'all can relate and, get to know me and on another level.
That's what's up. That's what. Do you have any final words for your audience? Like, what do you want to leave the people with?
Yeah. Oh, I forgot to say. So after this, I'm about to drop a freestyle too, probably like a week or two after I'm a Young Black come out. Mm-hmm. And then I have a EP that's going to come out after that. Maybe a few days, I don't know, maybe a week, I'm not sure, but that's just going to be, it's called It's a Vibe. It's going to be it's a totally different vibe from I'm a Young Black, but it's a lovely, nice, chill, you're going to love it. You're going to love it. It's like I said, it's a vibe. That's the name of
it. That's what's up. So thank you so much, Nell. You gave everybody okay. So yes, you gave me the handles. I'm going to have all his information, guys, in the show notes. So yes, you can continue to follow him and support him, and just being able to see like what's coming up next. Let's get out here and let's blow these streams up. Like we talk about all the time, support Black business, but also, this is also a way to be able to support one of ours. He's doing something positive in the community as far as his music, but also just being himself, being a Black man and being proud to be Black, so I'm excited. Again, I'm going to continue to, after this episode ends, please stay on. The rest of the song is going to play out so that you can get a full snippet of it, and then you can go ahead and just kind of download it, so that you can keep it streaming, keep it going, run it up for them. So again, thank you so much, Nell, for joining me today. It is my honor I'm honored to have you with me, and thank you.
For sure. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. All right, you guys. So that is it for today. I will see you on the next show. Bye.
Gems.